Have you ever opened up the fridge, not because you were hungry, but because you were hurting? Emotional eating doesn't announce itself. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It shows up late at night, and it shows up when you feel invisible. And before you know it, you've eaten past the pain. But the pain is still there. If that's ever been you, stay with me. Because today we're not just exposing emotional eating, we're learning steps on how you can break free. Hey guys, it's Fasting Over 40 with Toya, where we talk about healing and taking our power back. Listen, I've struggled with emotional eating since I was a kid. I've used food when I was happy, and I've used food when I was sad. For a long time, I just thought that that's just the way that I coped. But that cycle, it steals more than just pounds. It steals your confidence, your energy, and even your future. If you're ready to change that, you're in the right place. Let's talk about what emotional eating really is and what you can do starting today. First off, emotional eating isn't just about willpower. It's not about being greedy, it's about survival. Food can comfort us, and when nothing else feels safe, we often turn to what we know. For me, it started when I didn't have the words to know what it is that I was feeling. I found comfort in sugar, in snacks. Anything, as long as my mouth was chewing, I was probably eating it. But the cold hard truth is, eating can numb, but it cannot heal you. That healing has to come from something else other than food. Let's talk about some triggers, because emotional eating doesn't just come from just being hungry. It usually comes from when there's something that's oftentimes bothering us. For me, one of the triggers was just silence, or it could have been chaos, or just having a rough day, or just flat out a shitty day, and not knowing what to do with that upset or anger, resentment, whatever the feeling it is that I was feeling. It wasn't hunger, it was loneliness, or stress, or just plain exhaustion. Other triggers could come from arguments, your kids acting up, acting crazy day to day, spousal disagreements. Scrolling social media is a huge one. Sometimes we get wrapped up into that whole let's compare ourselves to others on social media. That is a definite trigger I know for me, and it more than likely is probably a trigger for a lot of people. And then on the other hand, we have those happy moments where we reward ourselves with food, right? I mean, this being America, that's just one of the things that unfortunately us Americans do, and not just Americans, anybody and everybody. Happy times you eat, sad times you eat. Often, it's just our lives revolve around eating, and celebration, good times and bad, it's just how it is, unfortunately, in life. And that's why awareness is powerful. The next time you feel that pull to eat, ask yourself, am I really hungry? Or is it something else? What happened just before this? What am I really feeling? So here's where fasting comes in. And no, it's not just about losing weight. When I first started intermittent fasting, I thought it was just like a way for me to lose some pounds and hopefully look better. I didn't even really know 100% about fasting, but I knew enough that fasting is a tool that people use oftentimes in, the good old days, maybe, and that it was free. That was one thing for sure, and that it could possibly ultimately help me lose weight. But as I started to fast, I found out that by me being more quiet and more in tune with myself, my body, my emotions, things just seemed to get a little bit better. Am I 100% where I would want to be? Absolutely not. I'm still learning, and that's one of the reasons why we're on this journey together. I'll be totally honest with you. Fasting taught me what true hunger really, truly is. Now, The first few times that I fasted, like I said, I didn't really know enough about fasting, but I knew that it was a positive thing. So those first couple times that I fasted, I knew what hunger was, okay? That's the difference between being emotionally hurt and longing for something to eat to numb the pain, and being able to listen and really know that, hey man, I'm hungry. Fasting taught me how to sit with those feelings and emotions and just like sit with them and just not let them be stuffed down by continuous mindless eating. Now look, like I said, I'm still learning. I'm on a fasting journey. Ultimately, yes, I want to lose weight, but like I said, through that fasting taught me so much more about who I am as a person and what my wants and my needs are, and how it is that I was coping with the stress of everyday life, and how the way that I was dealing with it wasn't an optimal way, because ultimately it was stealing my freedom and, like I said earlier, my energy, my time, and my future as well. So even though I still deal with fighting my own emotions and getting those in check while I'm fasting, here are a few things that actually help me in doing the right thing for myself. The first thing I do, honestly, is just stop and I think. I try to give myself about 7 to 10 minutes to think and see where I am and what is going on or what happened. Am I nervous or anxious about something? The next thing that I do, if I have not calmed myself and that urge to eat hasn't gone away, is I drink a big glass of water. I've been really, really working on drinking much more water to stay hydrated. And that is exactly what I do, is I grab my water bottle and I sip, and while I'm sipping, I'm still reminiscing on what it is that might be possibly bothering me. The third thing that you can try, and that I have actually tried, believe it or not, I know my mother would definitely not believe this, but I have actually taken up journaling. So now, even if I don't actually write it down in a book, I actually do utilize the notes section on my iPhone. I'll write it down in my calendar, or sometimes I even just bust out a voice memo. Let's just face it, after you reach over 40, you think, I'm not going to forget this. You know what I mean? I'll remember, and let's just face it, sometimes we don't. So it does help to jot things down, sometimes record it any which way that you possibly can, so that you understand, so you can go back at a later time and take a look at what it is, because this is potentially a trigger for you to want to start mindlessly eating. The fourth thing that I do now that has really helped me tremendously is I take a walk. When something's bothering me and stuff, first off, I definitely stay out of the kitchen, and it's just easy for me to just go outside, get into nature, and just take that walk, take some deep breaths, got some fresh air pumping in my lungs, and I just put on some music, and I walk. And usually when I walk, I'm saying it's going to be a good 15 to 30 minutes, sometimes more, depending on how it is, I feel. And sometimes when I do get out and I'm walking, I feel better. I'm listening to the music. I got me some water going, and everything just feels better. So I've already forgotten about eating. By the time I come back in, I'm definitely not thinking about eating, because now I got those endorphins pumped in my body, and you just feel all around better. If all else fails, after you've taken a walk, or you decide you don't want to walk, and it is closer to bedtime, if you feel tempted, you know what you do? You turn off the TV, get off the social media, so then you can't see pictures and reminders of food, this, that, and the other, and just go to bed early. That's the quickest way, unless you're a person who's going to get up and eat during the middle of the night. That is the perfect time to start a fast, is by going to bed early, right after you've eaten dinner, or, a few hours after that. That's the best time and the best thing that you can ultimately do to help yourself not think about things that you really don't need to think about, more than likely. Lastly, but not least, these two for me go pretty much hand in hand. But it is join groups. Join some fasting groups and things like that, where you can reach out to other people who are joining who are going through the same thing that you are, and perhaps you can find yourself an accountability partner. I mean, I've utilized that a time or two myself, and I absolutely loved it. It makes you feel like you have a sense of community. I mean, that's exactly what you have, is a sense of community, and you have somebody to lean on. And there's also people there who know what it is that you're going to go through, because chances are they've been there themselves. So joining social media groups that are geared towards fasting and weight loss, you definitely want to do that. Another thing that I like to do is I you know what, today I'm not even gonna lie, lately I've been looking at my 600-pound life, and I know that I'm not nowhere near that situation, but when I watch those stories, it really does speak to me, and it says, man, these people are not eating because they're just lazy or because they're hungry. There's something else. There's usually always something else, to that point to where you've got to get up and switch that mind switch in your mind in order for you to get right. And there is no shame whatsoever to go out and get yourself some therapy. I myself have utilized therapy. I did a good 2.5 years or so in therapy, just during all the things that I was going through in my everyday life, and it was really, really tough. But ultimately, that is what I had to do, and it wasn't something that I really wanted to do. It's something that I probably always kind of pushed off to the side, or never really wanted to just fully take part of. But this time, I mean, I was in a place in life, I say about 3 years ago, I just felt like I had to, what else are you gonna do? This was so very close to after the pandemic, and I know for me, once that pandemic hit, it really got you to sit and stop and be in your feelings. And I want to say that's one of the about the second or third time that I had really started thinking about fasting and things like that, because life had just kind of slowed down, right? And while life slowed down, so did we, and it just was so easy to sit inside and be more in your thoughts and not have to deal with the things that you were dealing with every day before the pandemic. I think, honestly, by the grace of God, I understand that there's a lot of people who passed away, they lost loved ones and stuff, but I think that pandemic was one of the most positive things for me, because it got me to sit down and really take a look at what's happening and how I can better myself. And that's when I really started doing or utilizing counseling. And it was the absolute best thing that I ever could have done for myself. I mean, within the last 3 years, because I started fasting, and mind you, like I said, I still takes me time and energy to be able to fast correctly. And the only thing you can do really is just to continuously keep trying. It doesn't matter how many times you think you failed, just keep trying. That consistency is what is going to keep you going. And once you're consistent with it, give yourself a week or two and stuff, and then get on that scale, and you'll see those numbers are going down. If it doesn't go down, you know that your body is still healing somewhere inside, and wherever you're healing on the inside is, you don't see it on the outside, it doesn't matter. You're still healing on the inside. I had so much inflammation in my body that I couldn't even stand up to do the dishes for more than 5 to 7 minutes before I was even really slumped over and just plain hurting on the inside. Now, that I've been fasting for, I don't even remember how long it's been, but at least for the last year, a lot of the inflammation is gone. I can get up now out of the bed. I'm not, none of that, you know. I sit in chairs. I'm moving quicker. When I go bowling every week and stuff, I can pop up like a spring. I get over there. My arm is not hurting. I had tennis elbow in the right arm, and it's gone away. You know, I had pains all in my left hand, you know, from holding the phone constantly and, you know, keeping my elbow bent, and all of that pain has gone away. And this is all through fasting, because when you fast, your insulin levels drop. Your insulin levels drop, your inflammation levels, they all drop. And so I'm just so thankful that even though the world was going through something that was very, you know, horribly crucial and people were dying, the ones who remained and actually utilized that time for self-betterment, it just worked out really well for me. So I thank God, you know, I was able to turn something negative into a positive. Another thing that I got from fasting had to do with, I used to be a smoker. I smoked for like 20 years. But when I started fasting and I understood that after about 3 days to 4 days, depending on your body, your cravings go away. Once those cravings go away and the hunger pains go away, you're good to go. So I thought the same thing could be used for me about smoking. And sure enough, when you smoke, after about 2 or 3 days, the carbon dioxide is gone, or whatever it is, carbon monoxide. The bad stuff is gone. The nicotine is out of your body. There you go. When you're smoking and you decide to quit, after about 3 days, the nicotine is gone from your body. Okay. So now after those 3 days was gone, I looked at it just like fasting. And that's how I was able to quit smoking, you guys. I stopped smoking. It's been almost a year and 10 months now. So close to 2 years that I was able to stop smoking. And now that I don't smoke, I don't drink anymore, much anymore. I'm not going to say I don't drink at all, because that's a lie. I don't drink like I used to, because for me, smoking and drinking went hand in hand. Now that I don't smoke, I hardly drink, which means also my insulin levels stay down, inflammation levels are down as well. So there's so many different benefits to fasting, and there's just so many positives that I can't refute why I wouldn't fast, or why I wouldn't share all my personal victories with the next person. If you've been stuck in the emotional eating cycle, I want you to know you're not weak, you're not lazy, and you most definitely aren't broken. You're someone who's been using food to survive something much stronger and much deeper than just being lazy. But guess what? Survival isn't the same thing as living. And now it's time to start living. Start with one pause, a breath, or journal entry. One fast. And if you mess up, grace, get back up and keep it pushing. If this video helped you be seen, drop a comment and let me know. You're not alone in this, and I mean that. Let's do this together. And if you want more honest talk about fasting and food freedom and everything in between, don't be afraid to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you get notified every single time that I drop a new video. This is Fasting Over 40 with Toya, and we're just getting started.